Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some almond custard filled crepes or pancakes. This is from a recipe in Julia Child, Mastering the Art of French Cookery, and I'm adjusting the recipe slightly, but I'm sticking fairly close to it. So we have to make some pancakes, we make some custard and mix some almonds with the custard. Then we combine, we assemble our pancakes into rolls or into triangles, and then we're going to bake them in the oven and finish off with a little bit of chocolate over the top. So I'm going to do the ingredients in two stages. First the ingredients for the pancakes and then the ingredients for everything else. Then I'll go on to make the pancakes. So we'll start off with the ingredients for the pancakes now. And for the pancakes I have 75 millilitres 5 tablespoons of milk, 70 millilitres, 4 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of water, 3 medium egg yolks, that would be large in the USA, 12 grams, 1 tablespoon of caster sugar, 28 grams, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 140 grams, which is 1 cup minus 1 tablespoon of plain flour. That's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 millilitre cup. Here I have 45 millilitres of brandy. Now Julia Child suggests you can use brandy or you can use rum or you can use Cointreau. My view is you could use orange juice, or you could leave the alcohol out completely and just add in more water. It's entirely up to you. And then I have 7 grams, 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast. So you can see that this is going to be a yeasted pancake, which will actually make them slightly thicker and more robust for holding our filling in later on. So that's all the ingredients for the pancakes, and then we need to go on to make the ingredients for the custard with the almonds, and then what's going to go on the top. And the remaining ingredients are these, and from here to the left are all for the custard with the almonds, and these 3 on the right are just for adornment, so some melted butter, some sugar and some chocolate chips which I'm going to melt. So I have here 113 grams, which is half a cup plus 1 tablespoon of caster sugar. I have 56 grams, 1/3 of a cup plus 3/4 of a tablespoon of plain flour, and that's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 millilitre cup. I have 285 millilitres, 1 cup plus 3 tablespoons of milk. I have 42 grams, 3 tablespoons of butter, and I'm using unsalted butter. I have 87 grams, 7 tablespoons of ground almonds, 30 millilitres, 2 tablespoons of kirsch. That's optional. Julia says you can use 2 to 3 tablespoons, but you can don't have to use it at all. And kirsch is a cherry alcohol, and cherries go very well with almonds. Then I have 10 millilitres, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1.5 millilitres, 1/4 teaspoon, 1 1/4 millilitres, 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. You could use a little bit more almond extract, but it is very, very strong. So those are the ingredients for the custard with the almonds. And then I have about 20 grams, 1.5 tablespoons of caster sugar, which I'm going to sprinkle over the top of the pancakes before I put them into the oven later. And I have here another 42 grams or so, 2 to 3 tablespoons is what I want of butter, which I'm going to melt later on. And here I have about 100 grams, 3.5 ounces of chocolate chips, which I'm simply going to melt, and then once the pancakes are being served, I'm going to drizzle some of that over the top of them. In Julia Child's recipe, she grates chocolate on the assembled pancakes before she puts them into the oven to bake them through. I didn't like the look of that, so from pictures which I saw, so I'm going to simply melt the chocolate and drizzle it later. So that's all the ingredients completed, and with that we need to go on to make our pancake batter first. And having shown you all the ingredients, it's now time to go on to make the pancake batter. And so to do that, I'm going to put the wet ingredients, that's the milk, the water, egg yolks, the butter, into a bowl, and I'm going to pour in the brandy as well, and then I'm going to add in my little bit of sugar and the yeast, and I'm just going to give those a little mix around to get those combined. And I'm using my hand mixer. For making this batter, Julia Child recommends using a blender, and it takes a few seconds, but the hand mixer is going to work perfectly well, and you don't need to get the blender out of wherever you've stored it. And that's just mix those together, and I'm going to put my flour in, and I'm going to mix that again until the flour is fully incorporated and I have a smooth batter. And that's perfectly fine like that. So I'm going to scrape the bowl down just a little bit. Just like that. And then I'm going to cover that with some plastic wrap, and I'm going to leave that for 2 hours, just at room temperature. And while that's at room temperature resting, we can go on to make the custard. So as our pancake batter rests for 2 hours, I'll make the custard. And for that, I'm going to put my milk into a pan, and I'm going to put that on the heat and bring that just about to the boil. And I'll keep watching that. And as that comes up to the boil, I'm going to mix the other ingredients. I may have forgotten to say that I have here 1 medium egg and 1 medium egg yolk, which would be large in the USA, but I will write that on the screen at the point where I'm doing the ingredients. So I'll put that into the bowl along with my caster sugar, and I'm going to whisk those together until they're nice and thick and almost to the ribbon stage. And that's good enough like that. And my milk is almost at a boil, and I've actually poured it into a jug, but you don't need to do that. We just need to drizzle a little bit in, whisking all the time, and keep drizzling the milk in. and I've whisked that milk in. So I'm going to put that back into my pan and I'm going to cook the custard. And I'm going to put this onto a low to medium heat, and I'm going to whisk it all the time until it starts to thicken, and it's likely to become lumpy, but then as you whisk more the lumps will break down and we'll have a nice thick custard. So I'll put the heat on and I'll immediately start stirring with my whisk, and Julia informs us that it's going to go lumpy. But then you whisk vigorously and the lumps smooth out. I'm hoping mine doesn't even go into lumps. And that's thickening now, I can feel that. And I can see some lumps, but I'm going to keep stirring that. And those lumps have just about worked out. I changed whisks because the handler came off the one I was using. So I'm going to cook that, stirring it all the time with a spatula for about 2 minutes, and that's going to make sure that the flour is cooked through. Otherwise you get the taste of flour in your custard. And I'm going to do that on a low heat, and I have to keep stirring so that it doesn't form a skin on the bottom. So I've cooked that for a couple of minutes, and that's good enough like that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my butter, the 42 grams, 3 tablespoons. And I'm going to stir that through. And then with that just about melted, I'm going to add in my kirsch and whisk that through as well. And that's good enough like that. So the next things to go in is my little bit of almond extract and my vanilla extract. And I'll give those a whisk through. And as I'm stirring those in, I'm going to add in my ground almonds. And I'm going to fold those through with a spatula to get those fully combined. And with that folded through, I'm going to put that into a bowl so that I can let it cool down. So with that in a bowl, I'm simply going to press some plastic wrap onto it, onto the surface. I don't think Julia says to do this, but I do it when I make a custard type thing to prevent a skin from forming. I'm going to leave that to cool down, and that will be ready to use once we made our pancakes. So it's been 2 hours and my yeasted batter has risen up, and I've given it a quick whisk, and now I'm ready to make the pancakes. So I have lightly greased a small frying pan that has a base diameter of between 6 and 7 inches, and I'm going to make the pancakes in that. So I'm going to take about 1/4 cup having heated my oil in the pan, and I'm going to quickly swirl that around in the pan to coat it. I'm going to cook that for a minute or two until it browns on the underside. And as it begins to take on some colour, I will flip it over and cook it on the other side. So it's almost got the amount of colour that I want on it. And I'll flip that over and cook it on the other side. And then I'll just check the other side, and that's cooked enough for me. So I'm going to take that out of the pan. I'm going to lightly brush the pan again, just to make sure that it doesn't go dry. And I'm going to cook the remaining pancakes in exactly the same way. And as they cook, I'm transferring them to a tray, and covering them with a towel to keep them a little bit warm. And once I have all of them cooked, I'll come back and we can fill them. So I've cooked 10 pancakes, or crepes, and they're just that little bit thicker than normal, which is what I want. So I've taken a dish which is about 8 inches on the bottom and about 10 inches in length, so 10 by 8 on the base and 2 or 3 inches high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pancake. That one's still hot, so I'll take one of the ones which is cooled down just a little bit, and I'll put it onto a board, and then I'm simply going to take some of my almond custard, a couple of tablespoons perhaps, and I'm going to spread that over the surface. And that's cooled, but it's still nice and easily spreadable. And I can go right up to the edge, it doesn't matter. Just like that. And then I'm going to roll that up. Now you could form it into triangles, but I'm going to roll it up like that. And I'm going to place it in my dish like that, and do the same with some more. So I've filled 8 pancakes. I have 2 left over, but that's fine. And I have my oven now preheating to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. So that this can go into the oven once the oven's up to temperature. But before I put it into the oven, I'm going to take some melted butter and brush it over each of the pancakes. That's what the other 42 grams or so of melted butter was for. You may not need all of that. And then I'm going to take my caster sugar and I'm going to sprinkle that on the top. Again, you may not need all of it. So that's good enough like that, and I'm going to put that into the oven and I'm going to bake it for 20 to 25 minutes so that the custard heats up and warms through and becomes nice and soft inside. And then I take it out of the oven, and as it's cooking I'm going to melt my chocolate, which you can do on a bain-marie or you can do it in a microwave oven in very short bursts and stir it between each burst. It's entirely up to you. But I'll melt the chocolate as well, and then I'll come back and serve some and we'll have a taste. I've baked those pancakes with the almond custard filling in the oven for 20 minutes and I've melted my chocolate on a bain-marie. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of my chocolate over the pancakes. You could pipe it. And that is then ready to serve. And so I'll have a taste of one or two that I've put onto a plate. That's very, very good. The lovely custard filling is wonderful with the almonds in and the kirsch, and then the pancakes nice and soft and springy, thicker than many pancakes or crepes, and then that little bit of chocolate on the top with the caster sugar as well is very good. So this is not a difficult recipe, but it takes a little bit of time, and it might actually be a good variation for Pancake Day, which is coming up, I think, in about 4 or 5 weeks. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.